What's going on, Milanisti? It's Nicko, your host for the Milanista Report, episode number 3. It's Saturday. Our Milan just played their first friendly today under the new coach Fonseca. I'm sure some of us watched it. You can't take too much things out of these friendlies today. But on today's podcast, we'll be going over briefly over the game between SK Rapid and our beloved Milan. Then we're going to dissect two possible formations that Fonseca may play during this season with the players that he has at his disposal and formations that he's primarily used in the past. Transfer rumors. And then finally, Pavlovic versus Gabbia. As you know, last week we compared stats between Chow and Gabbia. Gabbia came up top, between the eye test and the, stats alone. Gabbia is a much more complete center back than Chow. So this week it's going to be Pavlovic versus Gabbia. Okay, in the final segment. All right. Being that, Pavlovic is a big target we've been talking about for a while now, for the last couple of weeks, 2 weeks, I think. There have been rumors about getting him from his current club at Red Bull Salzburg, which is being coached by Pep Linders, former assistant coach of Liverpool under Klopp. All right, so that being said, let's get the show on the road. All right. So today's matchup, obviously you don't want to take too much out of this game. All right, so it's a friendly. Just want to see, everybody comes out healthy, showing some form of being in shape. And, in my experience, I'm not going to really expect too much in terms of them adapting to Fonseca's style of play yet. The fitness level might not be there yet, so the pressing might be off as well. Being like he likes to press higher up on the pitch than Pioli does. Right, that's based off his press conference that he talked about. He wants to press up higher up the pitch, and obviously, you want to make sure the defense looks okay. Yeah, but in this case, obviously, so some kind of takeaways from today's game. First, we got to see some young players come in and play. Liberelli played. He just came off really stellar, U17, right? I believe. With the Euros, he did well over there, showed some skill. He started off the game. Chow started as well in the back line, along with Tadashine on the left, Gabbia, and on the right it was Calabria, surprisingly, and he was the captain. So, first half wasn't too bad. SK Rapid had a couple of chances to score. They hit the post the first half. They looked pretty dangerous. Obviously, the spacing between the midfield and the back line still an issue. And I said that's a couple of factors. One, you had Pobega and Adley starting as your, in that formation, that 4-2-3-1 formation. And obviously, you're not going to get too much pace in that midfield, that double pivot between those two. And and obviously with spacing, like I said before, it's super important. So obviously, as we know, anybody who's followed this club for a long time, Saki was one of the main proponents, big proponent of spacing during his time under Milan. Real quick, when he was coaching the team, and he got away from the Catenaccio style play, more of a modern style of football. He taught his players in training he wanted them no more than about, I think, 25 meters away. Let me get that straight. I'm trying to remember. Hold on, fellas. Yeah, 25 meters. Yeah, because I've done a podcast a while ago on Saki. Which is no longer available online. But during Saki's time, he had trained his team that, he wanted 25 meters from the last defender to the forward. All right. That was his big deal, to keep everybody, the three lines, compact. The back line, midfielders, and the front line compact as much much as you could. So that 25 minutes was really important, right? So you wouldn't leave a lot of space for the opponents to exploit. No, so obviously last year we saw under Pioli, we saw that a lot of issues with the back between especially with the midfielders and the back line. The spacing was way off a lot of times, where teams were just bombarding the final 18-yard box, final attacking third, right? And outnumbering us many, many times, leaving a lot of high-quality open shots from open play against our defense. All right. And point being, so recently, on that point about defense, it recently came out. I saw this thing come out yesterday. Let me see if I can pull it up here. So it looks like it was translated from Italian. I forgot where this came from. I think the Gazzetta. So according to the Gazzetta, Ibra. So they talked about primarily. They had the new physiotherapist that Ibra's bringing in after years of Marco Pesenti and Robert Morosi and Albano Rossetti left Milanello. So they got rid of the physiotherapist. All right, that's a good thing. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is because the fact that they talked about what was the reason for the 49 goals that we conceded in the league last year, the worst among the top 10, 11 in the table, right? That's like mid-level EPL numbers. And according to this report, somebody from Milan, or I'm not sure who put this out there, the mitigating factors was injuries. Yes, agreed. Injuries was a part of it, obviously, right? We all noticed that. We had injuries to, I think Tamari was out for a short time, Chow. So there wasn't any stability between that center back pairing. But there was a while, for me personally, I don't like to use it as an excuse. You have healthy players there that are part of your team. They're part of your training sessions. You should get in the same reps and be prepared as much as your starting players and building a chemistry, regardless. Yes, injuries was an issue, but the biggest problem was the fact that, the high press that Pioli played in numerous games against opponents that exposed it, right? Because if you're pressing, you need all 11 people to commit. Even the goalkeeper needs to communicate and commit to it. And communicate with his back line, tell him what to do. And that wasn't done. So, one person misses their assignment, is late to press the ball, or is lazy, or it's not 100% committed, it goes to hell, and they're going to burn you. We got burnt with Inter. We got burnt on the high press. We had, a couple of times you had Chow sitting by himself, 1v1 against Thuram, and he got burnt. So things like that. So it's, formation, injuries was an issue, obviously. Being a factor to our defense being really poor last season. But the players making a lot of errors, mental errors, especially Chow, like we talked about in episode number 2 with Nathan last week. We broke it down pretty well. And the fact that the tactics, or the principles, the schemes, whatever you want to call it, that Pioli used again and again, exposed it. And the fact that our midfield wasn't as strong as before. You had Tijani, he missed his assignments plenty of times during the season, right? Benny was hurt. So a lot of times you had Musa there, or Adli. Adli's not a defensive midfielder, doesn't have the pace, the engine, doesn't commit, doesn't have that grinta to play defense, like a good Tuso like we've had in the past, right? Or even a Benny when he's 100% fit. So that being said, again, all right, there's plenty of factors. And today, our defense wasn't there, but the same issues, like I said. All right, so enough of that. So final score was 1-1. By the way, Florenzi scored the first goal, but it was a nice cross by Maldini, which I hope he stays in the club. At least they have some kind of heritage still left on the club, some of identity left at Milan. And the Emir scored in the 88th minute, right, late in the game. He was wide open. All right, so hopefully those things get worked. Fonseca, in my opinion, is not the strongest defensive coach out there. He's known for, possession football and being really attractive with the ball, but off the ball, he's not known within the football world as a defensive coach. All right. And I'm not sure about the assistants either, because it looks like last time I checked, we're getting the same assistant coaches as last season for the most part. We'll confirm that before the season starts, because that might change. But obviously, we spoke about it with Nathan last week. They're probably doing that to save money, which I disagree with, because you're getting the same, assistant coaches that were under Pioli. So, I'm not sure how it's going to work, because they're not the strongest defensive coaches either. Like, for example, I'll go back to, and I've said it before, like Sahin at Borussia Dortmund. He's now the head coach there. He has strong defensive principles. All right. So next segment. Hey, by the way, anybody tuning into Twitch, Twitch, because we're streaming on Twitch as well. Please head over to the YouTube channel, Defensive Dynamo Podcast and Milanisti 360. Subscribe to our channel, like all that, good stuff to continue supporting our project here. All right. Next segment. Let's see what's going on with the chat, by the way. All right, so this is a good one. I'll pop this up here, man. So he looks Hussein. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Looks like it might take some time to get Pioli ball out of these players. Yeah, listen, Pioli's system, before I get to the next segment, worked the first season, right? We saw some attractive football with the players. Everybody liked it during the lockdown. We won a Scudetto under Pioli. I don't want to shit on him completely. But Pioli fell into certain biases, traps that a lot of coaches do. They have their favorite players. They stick to their principles, especially with, don't change in terms of, say, set plays that we got burned on time and time again. Didn't change that zonal marking setup that he preferred, and it didn't work. And teams caught up to him. He didn't adapt, right, to what the league in Serie A. And when you're playing against Serie A teams, are very tactically prepared, well-organized teams, even the lower table teams, really good coaches. All right. And then when you go to Champions League, Europa, whatever tournament you play out of the domestic league, you're going to play against some really good teams in really tough environments. And those things, they may not work too. So you might have to change up and adapt to your opponent. And Fonseca plays the same kind of system. Yes, he's more position-based, but in terms of formation, he favors the same formations, has the same assistant coaches still. All right. So they're not familiar with his style, and they're not comfortable with each other yet. So it's going to take time. And in terms of off the ball, when we were trying to get possession back from the opponent, he plays a similar style. We're going to get that in a minute, and the weaknesses against that, right? Just show how opponents can exploit those formations. So that's when you're playing a back four. That's what he primarily does. Because currently we don't have the players in place to play a back three. We don't have that. Right? We don't have three strong center backs like Inter has to do that. And we don't have the midfield stack like Inter does currently. So we're playing with a back four, and he's playing high up the pitch. I don't know what he's going to do in terms of once a team breaks the press or the press is not working. I don't know what he's going to do. I haven't seen anything about that yet. I haven't seen anything, any written blogs, anything talked about what happens once his team, another team gets, breaks the press, goes to the midfield. Does he go into a certain mid block? Does he go to a low block? I'm guessing he's going to go to a mid block. But is that going to be, Is he going to force the opponents wide out, depending on if they have, a really good midfield, right? Or I should say, if you're gonna force them wide out, meaning that the opponents have weak wingers, right? Or is he gonna try to force them in the middle, try to have them play the ball through the middle of the pitch, and keep the wide channels, blocked off by your defenders, taking those options away from the opponent. I'm not too sure, but it's something we'll have to keep an eye on during the season. I'm curious as well. As I've said it before, you need to change things up always, depending on the opponent, depending on the way the game is flowing. You need to change it all the time. I'm saying, by the way, man, thanks for tuning in. Spread the word if you have any other Milanista friends out there. Please spread the word. All right? Thanks, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. So next segment now. All right, let's get into it. Dissecting defensive formation that Fonseca may use. So obviously, I like tactics, defensive tactics. That's my passion, right? So let's go through some formations. Let me pull this up here that he possibly going to use Pioli. Hold on here. Pull this up, fellas. Okay. Give me a second. Let me get this up. All right. Give me a second here. Here we go. All right. Bam. Let's share the screen and get this show underway. Screen share. Tire. Yep, there we go. Okay, here we go. So the first one we're looking at here is obviously the 4-2-3-1. We saw that today, right? Under Pioli. So we have, this is if we're going to do a 4-2-3-1, this is my starting lineup currently, the way I see it. And I'll explain why in a bit. So we got Mike, Kalulu over Terracciano. Calabria has no chance, the way he looked pretty poor today. Gabbia over Pavlovic, and I'll get to that in the next segment when I break down their stats. Tamori, obviously, over Chow any day of the week, right? Teo, you got Jimenez backing him up, obviously. Benny, when healthy, he's got the experience in the league. I trust him more, so he's the first one over Fofana. If that's even we sign Fofana. Listen, Fofana, by the way, it's not even a done deal yet. We got to offload at least one midfielder to get that deal signed. And the last time I checked, his club turned off the last offer. I think it was like at 12 mil or something like that. Tajani, got Adley coming off the bench. Chucky, Pulisic. I like Pulisic and Chucky linking up. He's better defensively too, protecting that middle of the pitch. Loftus Cheeks off the bench. Rafa, and you got Morata and Okafor, because we haven't signed any other center back right now. Striker. So let's go into the 4-3-3-1. What's the ways teams can expose this, right? Opposing teams. So first off, when you're playing a 4-2-3-1, right? The space between right here, this space right here, between your wide midfielders, these two midfielders, you double pivot, and your fullbacks can be exploited. There's a ton of space up here in these boxes here. So a team that's well prepared, well organized, is going to expose that right away in those pockets of space. which they can pull. If the ball goes here, you're pulling a DM away out of position and leaving the space over. So Benny comes over here and he tries to cover the player here, or try to take the ball away, try to get position back and hit him with a counter, or control the ball and send it back, depending on what happens. His vision as well. He's looking up and trying to find Chucky or his other, offensive players up the pitch. It's going to exploit. It's going to leave the space open. So in that case, Pulisic has got to come back here and take that space up and help Tijani out. Same thing with this side, on Tijani's side. If the ball gets played here, Tijani's going to get the midfield is going to get pulled over to this side of space and leave that space in the middle, because you got Benny by himself. So in this case, Pulisic in most cases got to pull back. So that's the weakness for that formation for the 4-2-3 run, right? Is you got these two spaces are wide open for really any kind of team that's well prepared from their coach, and their players are well prepared, and their intelligent players are going to exploit that again and again. So, as Milan, they have to, obviously they're prepared. They know these weaknesses as well. Like, they're professional coaches, so they know what they're doing. So hopefully they have these, they're teaching, they're going over this with the team during, when they're preparing for a team, when they're scouting a team for videos, looking at video from the opponents and preparing for them accordingly, and making sure everybody has their assignments prepared. What happens if Benny gets pulled over here? What happens if Tijani gets pulled over here and leaves the space open? What do we do? In this case, I've seen Pulisic does a good job covering back. He's got the awareness. Loftus-Cheek does not, in my opinion. And that's just from an eye test from watching him last season. All right. Next one. We're going to get into the 4-3-3. I think this is another formation that Fonseca is going to use. So but it's going to be the same. I got Mike here, Kalulu, Gabbia, Tomori, Deo. In the midfield, I would have Benny or Fofana. Fofana here, I'd say, on the right side. Benny here, he's a little more tougher, as far as I see. Unless the season progresses, I see Fofana. He's a little more stronger. He's got more punch in the midfield, more teeth. You slide him over right here. And then, Sejani here, actually, right? Either Fofana or Benny here, and then, maybe Fofana there, depending on the situation. But Benny's going to be here most of the time. And up front, you're going to have, start Pulisic here, Morata, and Leao. So that's the 4-3-3. So with the 4-3-3, you have a flat narrow 4-3-3. The issues lies within this pocket of space right here. Or right here. So spacing is really important, because this space right here, because most of the time they might be pinched in a little bit more, the midfielders. This whole space here and this space here, you have your fullbacks pinned in deep, right? So when the front three is pressing, this is when spacing becomes important. That 25 meters, right? That Saki used to really drill into his teams at the Milan teams, right? The great Milan teams that we all fell in love with. Is pressing, that spacing is important, because you got those three up front pressing. They can be easily detached from the midfield. So that space between just your forwards and your midfield is just super important. And then same thing with your midfield and your back four. Because if that spacing's off, you're leaving your right back and your left back exposed. Now in this case, Fonseca likes to have attackers, his two fullbacks going up the pitch to attack, right? That's going to happen. You have Kalulu coming up here, inverted or inverted depending on how he's going to play them. And you got Teo, he's bombing up the pitch, trying to link up with Leao. You're going to have these two midfield. You're going to have whoever's playing on this side. Either it's going to be Fofana, for example, and Tijani on the other side, the side of Teo. They got to come back. They need to come back. And Tijani, I haven't seen that. Hopefully he gets that. He's prepared and understands that if Teo's coming up, he's got to come back and feel that roll up. Or not, if he's bombing up, right? It's just say Fofana, depending on how they set up, Fofana drops back. For example, he's a more defensive player. Then you have a back three, which is fine too. But Fofana needs to come back, at least. Tijani, if he's attacking, he's more of an attacking midfielder. He might be able to come back in time. But if these two are coming up, Kalu's coming up, Teo's coming up the pitch, bombing, trying to attack, trying to score goals, hit their teammates for crosses, cutbacks, whatever, you need Fofana at least to come back. But if they're setting up in a mid press, for example, or whatever, if that doesn't happen, you have your fullbacks pinned in, right? Especially if you're playing, say, a press. Now, if you're playing a full press, we have our shape back in, right? Or back fours back together. The three midfielders, they got their shape back, and the three forwards are up pressing up high. If the spacing's off, you're leaving your two fullbacks exposed on 1v1s. And Teo's not the strongest 1v1 yet. He showed it with France, right? He was pretty well. He did actually a really good job, by the way, during the Euros. I was impressed. He's getting better defensively. But Kulu, he's got his issues. In terms of awareness on the pitch, he's not. Is he a good right back? Sure. Is he a great right back? No. I would have preferred somebody with more pace, more skill, not offensive skill, but more defensive skill on that side, because you're playing against, really dangerous players on that side of the pitch most of the time, like Kvaratskhelia, for example, in Syria. All right, so there's that segment. So, depending, like I said, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, there are ways to exploit that. All right. I'm going to jump into next segment. Oh, what happened there? Oh. There we go. Transfer rumors. All right. So last time we talked about transfer rumors, we talked about, we did talk about Fofana, but the latest news is also Pavlovic as well. So last time I heard about Fofana, which we really need for depth, right? If, we keep Benny, we get of Adley or Pobega, and after today's game, Pobega looks like he might be on his way out of the club. We need Fofana for depth and his experience, and to add more beef in that midfield, and to kind of give that, protect our back four, right? Especially if you got two attacking fullbacks, you need somebody like Fofana to drop back and create that back three. That's just the way it works. So Fofana, last time I checked, we made an offer of 12 mil, I believe. Let me check the latest news on Fofana. Let's see what Twitter has to say. Twitter's probably the best way to go about this. Let's see, Yusuf Fofana. What's the latest news on him? So things that might have changed since yesterday. I don't know, even though it's a Saturday. Let's see what's going on in X worlds. Oh, it's Yusuf. I don't want to care about his brother. So in the chat, anybody I want to hear your thoughts about the players that we have, players that we're looking to get. Give me your thoughts, Milanisti. I want to hear it. Yeah, let me see. Who's Fabrizio Romano? Milan. You want to try to find something, you can't find it. So it looks like, according to this, here we go, from Vibes Foots, Tutto Sports. It looks like an agreement between Milan and Youssef Fofana, according to Tutto Sports. He would sign until 2029 and receive a net annual salary of 2.5. Well, that remains to reach an agreement. So yeah, it looks like the player's on board. He wants to come. Okay, well, that's just part of it. But it looks like Monaco they're demanding 18 mil. Well, our beloved club, beloved Redbird, Moneyball Management, is offering 12 plus bonuses. So this is the issue I got. And a lot of us, well, some of us were split. Some of us, we think this is great, lowballing every team and getting the best deals. But listen, players like Fofana, we need them. You got to pay up. I'm sorry, even at 18 mil, that's still a bargain for a really top quality CDM. You're not going to find many. And what happens if we lose out on him? We lost on Xerxes, yeah, even though we didn't need him and we wasted months on him. Now Fofana, it's getting late in the season. Well, not late in the summer, I should say. Season's about to kick off really soon, right? Hold on, fellas. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. All right. So take care of some family business for a minute. Hey, by the way, adding a couple things to the studio, as you can see here. Some football books that I've been reading over the last couple of years that I like. One was a book on Carlo, and the other one is about German football, the tactics, history, coaches that have coached in German, different leagues and divisions. Well, yeah, mostly divisions in Germany. Some really cool stuff. And that soccer ball you see there, that's pretty significant. So when I left my team in Phoenix, where I was coaching for almost 3 years, on the last friendly we had played 2 teams. Yeah, we had a little bit, final farewell party for me before I moved down to Mexico. The players all signed it. All the kids got together, signed the ball, wrote me some little personal notes, which I still have. So it's really cool. All right, so let's get back to business here. So obviously we're talking about Fofana, right? Player like him, we need him. Because if we don't sign him, we're going to be, going into next season with Benny, a super thin midfield with Benny, Musa, Adli, and Tijani. And maybe Pobega might stay in that case, unless they, and just say we don't cite Fofana. In my opinion, and I've, just personally, what I've been thinking about is we should bring up Zaroli, give him some minutes, see how he does. But more importantly, to kind of back up Benny, because Benny would be a good mentor, in my opinion, would being the kid Alote. I know he was injured. I'm not sure what his status is. Last time I checked, I don't know. But the kid's healthy. The kid's a beast, man. The kid's really, I've talked to some of my friends that really are into the Primavera. They follow it, been following it for years. Keep telling me this kid's special. He would be a really good, defensive midfielder for us. So maybe, listen, if Fofana doesn't fall through, it'd be a shame if he didn't pull it off, and we didn't at least meet them at 18 mil. Come on, at this market, today's game, that's a steal. Say if we don't get him, I would hope we feel that we bring that kid up. At least give him a chance to outperform the other players off the bench. All right? Because if we don't, then you're stuck with Musa. Musa doesn't have the defensive awareness. He can run all day. He's got decent one-on-one skills, but he's more attack-minded. Adli's not there. Adli is a terrible CDM. Is he nice with the ball? He has nice vision, but he's better suited to back up Tijani. So that's one. That's Fofana. Number two is Pavlovic out of Red Bull Salzburg that we spoke about before. From some of the video that I've watched some of their games, not many, but watching some videos on YouTube yesterday, and just reading some scouting reports from the past. He's really good, strong defender and the box defender. He's pretty decent at bringing the ball up, surprisingly. I didn't expect that. So I don't know how that would fit in with, say, if he paired up with Tomori, because Tomori likes to push up. Because you always got to have one center back last in line, right? Positioned on that striker up the pitch. But he's pretty decent on the ball. Not bad. He's better than Chap. Strong in the air, like we said. But he kind of reminds me of Bremer, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts. Last time we checked on him, it looks like it's going to fall through, actually. Let's take a look on that. Pavlovic. What's the latest? Okay. So Fabrizio Romano, he's got his, he's decent. We can rely on him for most of the time, even though there's people have said that he gets fed information from the agents, and sometimes it's just not true. So he's been clear with Salzburg. He wants AC Milan. Okay, so it looks like this is the negotiations are underway right now between the two clubs. So that looks like it's going to happen. All right, so this is going to lead me into that next segment between Pavlovic and Gabbia, right? Comparing their stats. But like I said, strong on the ball. Had a really good Euros, played under a really good system at Red Bull Salzburg. And it looks like the reason that he's leaving, so I was looking at Red Bull Salzburg's team going into this season on transfer market. So it looks like they're stacked at center back. Pavlovic is 23. He's at 25 mil. So maybe they're probably looking to save to make some money off of him too. That's why they're getting rid of him. Not because he doesn't fit into their system with Pep Linders. I mean, you're just looking for a different profile. But he's got Pavlovic currently. So they're going to get rid. They have this kid, Umar Solet. He's 24. You got Simon Bado, another center back, 20. You got Henry Blanc. He's 19. You got this other You got a Polish center back. Kamil Petakowski. And you got Brian Oko. Man, they're stacked at center back. Shit, he's 21. Lucas Wallner, another center back at 21. So they are fully stacked at center back. They got way too many center backs on the team. So that's probably why they're trying to offload Pavlovic to Milan as well. Maybe he wants to leave on his own accord, but it looks like they're pretty open to sell him. Probably he wants to leave because he wants to be, the starting center back for Milan, which he's going to fight with Gabbia. He's got to fight. Any new player coming in to a club, you got to earn your spot. All right. This is not some Mickey Mouse club. This is Milan. You got to earn your spot on the team, earn that badge, earn the right to start on that historic field at San Siro and wear that jersey. Yeah, so it's probably the reason why they're trying to get rid of him. Okay, makes a lot of sense now. You got that many center backs. You got to get rid of a few going into the new season. All right. Next segment. Let's see what's going on with the chat. All right, pretty quiet. Hussein, he just asked. Okay, that's a good question too. Let me answer this question real quick. So, do you think Benny starts for any top team in the world or even Serie A? I personally don't think so. Look, Benny was part of a Scudetto. He was a big reason why we won it. It was a big reason why the defense was solid. Yeah, has he had his issue health-wise? Yes, for sure. We all know that. But at the same time, when he's on, when he's fit, he's the only one that I trust right now. Especially if you don't get Fofana. Fofana is not a done deal. We just spoke about it. Right? There's still they're want 18 mil. We're going in with a 12 million offer plus bonuses, which is super low. All right. So I don't know. In my opinion, Benny starts for Milan as a top team. Yep. Would he start for, say, Madrid? Madrid is stacked. I don't know if he's going to start for Madrid, for example. Man City, he would start for some teams, I think. Liverpool, I think he could start for Liverpool, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. We all have a right to our opinion just from watching the guy play. When he's healthy, he's up there, the best of them. All right, he's pretty complete when he's healthy. But it's his history of injuries that's the issue. That's the thing that people probably get scared off on. Because if he has another injury, because he's that kind of injury that he had last season, he was out for that many months. He's slightly compromised. I've dealt with my share of injuries and nothing that caused operations, but you're never the same player, even with all the therapy and all the injections, and maybe he's doing stem cell. If he's doing stem cell, if he's doing some new more progressive type of therapy, then yeah, but you're not the same player in my opinion. But for us, yeah, he starts. We start for other Serie A teams, yes. We start for top teams, other big clubs in Europe. It depends, really. Thanks for the question. All right, so let's get rolling into the next segment. This is the big one. I'm looking forward to this one. All right. Pavlovic versus Gabbia. All right. So let's make sure we're sharing the right screen here. There we go. So last time we did the same. We used FB Ref last time as well, comparing Gabbia and Chow. So let's look at this. Let's kind of go off of this, right? So obviously Gabbia played for 5 squads. So play time is significantly much more. 116 matches played. Damn. Is this from this year's current? Okay. Let's get into. He's got a lot more minutes too. All right, so yeah, he's played 9,000 minutes. Pavlovic. All right, let's get into the passing because this is really important in today's game, right? Being that Tomori, doesn't have that ability to pass it up and hit his teammates up the pitch accurately. He's not like a Bostoni, for example. So look like a completion. So this is a big one. So we all know Pavlovic, we've been talking about. He's really strong in the air. He's pretty decent on the ball, pushes the ball up. I'm not afraid to take players on for what I've seen. But his passing range, completion rate is extremely low. Gabbia is at 88. And he's at 77. And even look at this, even though he's played a lot more minutes, Pavlovic, he's not comfortable. He's not that type of center back to break the lines with his passing. He's only attempted 800 attempts. Gabbia is over 2,000. That's a big standout for me. And from today's game, you're seeing it. You need your center backs to break the lines. All right. That's the reason why Bremer is not considered one. Even though Bremer is a really good box defender, he's more of your traditional big, strong, brawn center back. Yes, in the box. But Gabbia is good too in the box as well. He's good defense in the air, and he's gotten bigger. He's put some added muscle this season as well. We've seen. I think he probably took that personally. What happened last season with Lukaku? He pushed him off the ball. And, I'm sure he remembers that. It's still in the back of his head and coming in extra motivated this season. But look at the short passes. Again, 766 attempts. His completion rate for short passes is low too, 82%. That's short passes. That's probably just going to your midfielder, hitting it back to your keeper, sending it to your left back, your right back, or your other center back. It's extremely poor. Medium. He's not up there either. He's only at 86. Long balls. Extremely poor. Now, this is when it gets important. If you want to break the lines, if you want to try to, if the team's set up a certain way, the opponent, and you want to try to hit Leao or Pulisic or Morata up the pitch, Pavlovic is not your man. Tomorrow's not your man either. Gabbia is. He has 4 assists. Okay. But look at the numbers. In terms of progressive passes, 132 to 64. So that's just passing. Now look at pass types. More important numbers too. Live ball passes, again, 2,699 to 768. Through balls, switches. Another one. This was where Gabbia stood out from Chow last time, 21 to 8. Switches like we spoke about in the past, super important. Extremely important in football. Trying to switch the play to keep your opponent unbalanced. So the one edge that Pavlovic does, he goes up. That being that we just set up differently. Gabbia, most of the time, Tomori was up there. But he doesn't have any crosses. So Pavlovic is that department. He's strong. So he does have the edge on that. Throw-ins. So he's more of an attacking type of center back. So just say if Pavlovic comes on and he starts over Gabbia, just for argument's sake. Then you have who's gonna sit behind him. If you have Pavlovic bombing up the pitch, sending crosses and trying to take opponents on, who's gonna be the last man on defense? You're gonna have Tomori there, unless you plan on putting Pavlovic and Gabbia back there together. So that doesn't make much sense to me, having Pavlovic as your starter. Maybe depending on certain games, certain situations, want to close games out. Maybe if Gabbia is getting, he's having a bad game, or maybe this Pavlovic matches up better with a certain forward, and you put him in. But for the majority of the stats and the eye test, Gabbia is up there with Pavlovic, and he's a better center back, more complete center back, especially when you paired it with somebody like Tomori. Outcomes 2,477. I mean, guys, let's look at defensive actions now. Tackles. And Pavlovic's got more numbers too. Remember, look how many minutes. Minutes played 106, right? So he's played more minutes. Tackles 76-48. Tackles won. Well, he's won a lot of tackles, so he's good. Defensive third, tackles, comparable 40-29. Tackles in the middle third, the pitch 35-17. So Gabbia's 35, Pavlovic 17. Attacking third 1-2. Yeah, because Gabbia doesn't push up, but Pavlovic he does, but he doesn't make a lot of tackles because he's trying to recover, most likely. Challenges, tackles. Gabbia 36, Pavlovic 15. So percentage rate, tackles, dribbles, percentage of dribbles tackled. So Gabbia's a better tackler. He's won a lot more challenges. He's got more attempts, so he has more losses, but even that is pretty comparable. So 18 lost challenges for Gabbia and 12 for Pavlovic, but Gabbia's more active with challenges, so it makes sense. And Gabbia's at 66%. He's won of his tackles. Pavlovic 55. So Pavlovic's not the most strongest tackle. He doesn't win a lot of challenges. Blocks 40 to Gabbia, 20 to Pavlovic. Shots blocked 25-8, Gabbia. Passes blocked 15-12. Okay, that's close. This is good stats. Pavlovic he's at 142 interceptions. Pavlovic, Gabbia at 43. Tackles plus interceptions, 119-75. So Gabbia's got 119-75. Clearances, 167 for Gabbia. Pavlovic, 65. All right, so those are the stats. Oh, I'm going to leave it for everybody else that's listening to the chat, what your thoughts are. From looking at the stats and seeing Gabbia play, yes, Pavlovic would be a great addition to the team. No doubts. But, come on. Gabbia, for the more just showing for the stat heads out there. Everybody loves stats now, especially the tacticals out there. Gabbia should be starting over Pavlovic. Pavlovic would be a great addition to the team. We need depth. Being that Simic is out of the picture, we lost him. He didn't resign, and that whole drama. I don't want to even get into that. We're thin at center back. So Pavlovic is going to looks like he's going to come on board, give us that depth, give us some extra muscle in the midfield, in the center, in the back line. But if you're playing Tomori there, apologies, if you're playing Tomori, you can't and you're playing Pavlovic, you can't have him paired up. It's not a good pairing, in my opinion, because you got two center backs that like to go up. And they're both not good at breaking the lines with their passing range. They don't have the confidence. They don't have the vision. Gabbia does. All right, so that's that. All right, that was the last segment, guys. Let's get back to this. I hope you liked today's show. So like I said, today we went over, the formations, the 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, and their weaknesses and how teams can exploit that, right? To break that, to find that open space, right? Because you need time and space to create things. Most players, anyways. Those those Barcelona teams back in the day, they were just, on fire with the tiki-taka. Didn't need a lot of time or space to create things, but that's rare. Majority of the teams, majority of players need that. So, we went over that. We went over transfer rumors. Fofana may not happen, but there's still a big gap in terms of agreement of the payment for the player. We're offering 12. His team won 18, so we're 6 million off. I don't know. Hopefully, we find that gap. Just pay the guy 18 before we lose out on him. Because if not, like I said, we're going to be super thin in midfield. We're going to have the same issues defensively as last season. And then finally, Pavlovic looks like he's coming in. It'd be a really good signing. And then we just went over Pavlovic versus Gabbia. Just stats alone, Gabbia is more complete. He's up there. He's very good, strong defensively to Gabbia in the air. He's really good. He has good awareness, good box defender, extremely intelligent defender. Pavlovic probably is too. But overall, if you want a more complete center back playing with Tomori to complement Tomori's skills and what he brings to the team, Gabbia, in my opinion, should be starting majority of the games this season. We'll see what happens. At the end of the day, Fonseca, his staff, they're going to choose over the summer. They're going to evaluate the players. But whatever you do, Chow shouldn't be starting at all. If we could loan him off or something, loan him off, sell him, that would be great. And just one last thing, I wanted to bring this up before I forget. Let me bring this up. So if we sell, him, just to say we sell the guy. So there's two players that, so if we get rid of Chow, we don't give we don't have any Primaveras or U23 players ready to step up. There's one center back that I like. His name is Giovanni Leone, Leone, born in 2006. He just signed a contract with Sampdoria. Okay, so he's with Sampdoria until 2007. He's a very talented center back. I've heard a lot of good things about him. So Sampdoria triggered a 1.5 million buy option. It could be sold this summer to Inter, AC Monaco. Tottenham is also tracking him too. So a couple clubs are tracking him currently. Obviously, Inter wants to add youth to their club. I think they're facing issue with Oak Tree. I think Oak Tree wants to bring more older players. Just pissing off Interistas right now. They're having problems with their management. An American owner, by the way. And Sampdoria wants 4 million feet and keeping him on loan to 2025. So this would be a good option. I don't know if our scouts in Italy are looking at him. I have no idea. Hopefully they are, but that's one option if we get rid of Chow. The other one, he's a defensive midfielder, he's a right back. Where's the other kid? Oh, okay. So there's a kid out of Serie B, plays for Parma, Alessandro Cerati. Well, Circati, probably mispronouncing. He's at 8.5, plays for Parma Calcio, 1913. Center back. And he's really good too. He's a little bit more expensive. But I've heard really good things about him as well. So there's plenty of really good players in Serie B and A defenders. Italy is stacked with really good young defenders. Now that we got rid of Simic, we didn't keep up to him, whatever his decision was, if he didn't want to stay with the club or Fonseca didn't see he was worthy, whatever the case is, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to see Chow on the pitch. Don't want to see him. Sell him, loan him out, whatever you got to do. And, and I would prefer an Italian because we need an Italian identity on the team. We have 0 Italian core. Calabria's not going to be starting, so he doesn't even count. Forget about the quota, but it's the heritage of the club. Fellas, Milan forever has had strong Italian defenders. Always. That's something we've been proud of as a club. And currently we have none. We had a chance, we talked about last time, we had a chance to get Scalvini. We missed out on that with the CDK deal. We didn't do it. Didn't pull the trigger. We didn't pull the trigger on Kyle Fiori. Was it 1 or 2 seasons ago? Buongiorno, no. Coyote from Fiorentina, no. And those guys, like, especially Scalvini, man, he's such a classy defender. He would have been perfect. And he's 20 years old. And he helped just win a major title in Europe this past season. He balled out. So that's done is done. We passed up on those players. We didn't figure, we don't want to pursue them. But there's other kids out there that are, for looking at Moneyball and saving money and looking to develop young players and looking to up their value, maybe sell them down the line, which I'm against most of the time. I get it's business, but there's players out there. There's just the players I just mentioned. So we'll see what happens. All right, everybody for tuning in. Thanks for tuning on YouTube, Twitch. All right, make sure you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. I'll be back next Saturday. Saturday, probably. Same time, 2 p.m. EST. For episode number 4. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about right next week, possibly more. Hopefully by then we've signed our first defender. We haven't no defenders yet signed on the team. Hopefully by then Pavlovic is on the team and before Fana. That would be really good. And we'll, hopefully get into that, dive into those players more, and, get into some other stuff as well. Milan stuff. All right. Till then, be safe. Thanks for tuning in. All right. And always Forza Milan. Take care.